This is breaking news from KSL.
Right now, Chopper 5 is live over Sugar House Park, or the Sugar House area, where crews have been battling a massive 4-alarm fire all night and morning long. This is how things look at this noon hour. Now take a look at this side by side. This was a scene overnight. You can see flames engulfing the building, scaffolding and embers raining down. This is in an apartment building in Sugar House, which is under construction in the area of 1040 East and 2220 South. The fire sparking around 11 o'clock last night, and crews have been battling this one ever since. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for being with us. I'm Shara Park, and we also have Lori Pritchard in our team coverage here this afternoon. Lori.
Hi, Shara. Yes, the scene very different than it was this morning for our viewers. The smoke still billowing from this building. Firefighters do have it under control. We have just learned that there have been 1,000 people who've been evacuated by nearby apartments. I talked to one woman. She was still in her robe at this noon hour trying to get back into her apartment, and they just can't do that yet. It was a scramble to get these people out early this morning.
So black smoke fills up the top 2 floors, and eventually pressure builds, and boom, out come flames and some smoke from some of the windows that are getting blown down into the roads.
I got woken up by a good neighbor, and he told me that the building across was on fire and to evacuate. Grabbed a bag, moved my car, and just been watching it go down since.
So we heard like a lot of crashing.
Glass breaking. Tons of embers going way up.
So many embers going straight up.
We have crews on the ground all night long and throughout this morning. They're standing by to bring you everything you need to know, from the evacuations to what witnesses saw to how the fire is impacting our air. First, Lori, you have been covering this since 4:30 this morning when this thing really took off. You've been talking with the Salt Lake City Fire Chief. Tell us what he's saying this afternoon.
I'm going to bring him in. This is Salt Lake City Fire Chief Carl Lieb. Chief, come on in and tell us exactly what you know so far regarding this fire. Still crews about. You see the ladder truck, of course, up there pouring water. What's the latest?
Yeah, this was a significant event. It started approximately 11:10 last evening, and within 15-20 minutes, we had upwards of 60 firefighters here. At peak levels, we probably had 80 firefighters on scene, approximately 20 apparatus, and ultimately we had a 6-story large apartment complex in various stages of construction. Made it very difficult to get a handle on this early on, and of course it's still burning within the outer skin of the building.
Now, when we saw Chopper 5 earlier this morning, we saw parts of that building literally collapse inside. But the best news so far is that no reports of any injuries.
Yeah, no reports of injuries right now. We did have one minor civilian injury overnight. But yeah, it's a hazardous area right now. The buildings are not stable. We're concerned about collapse exterior of the current building that might impact apartment complexes that were occupied last evening.
Now, you gave us the latest numbers this morning, and that was initially we thought 200 evacuees, but that's now upwards of 1,000. Do we have any idea when some of these people can get back into their homes?
Yeah, we're working right now on a demolition plan to reduce the risk of collapse. So once we've established that and we've implemented that, we'll get those people in as soon as we possibly can.
Okay. Chief Carl Lieb, thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy. Thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
All right, so that's the latest here from the Salt Lake City Fire Chief. Is still, you see so many crews milling about. Well, actually, they're working. They're not milling, but as police officers, fire crews from different agencies here. Also, the evacuees who are still wanting to get inside their apartments, which could take some time. Tamara Vaifanua has been covering that angle of this story. And Tama, bring us up to date on what some of those evacuees are saying.
Hi, good afternoon to you, Lori. I am here at the evacuation site that was moved here to this location. It's a stake center for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, not too far from the Forestdale Golf Course where folks initially were sent to this morning. This is a warm spot for a lot of folks who we heard from earlier this morning who just needed to get out of the cold, finding a place where they could eat. Here's a look at what some of them had to say from earlier this morning when that fire broke out.
I woke up and heard the siren, and then I looked outside my window and saw like the flames.
Just before midnight, Katie realized the apartment under construction across the street was on fire.
Nothing like I've ever seen.
She grabbed her dog Charlie, and they got out quick.
There was a police officer knocking on all the doors, telling everyone to get out.
A city bus dropped her off here at the Forestdale Golf Course, the American Red Cross evacuation site. About 78 people hunkered down out of the cold.
A little bit chaotic at first, as you can expect.
Grabbed some food and water and waited for answers.
And unfortunately, it was kind of a waiting game, and that's really hard.
I'm trying to get over a cold, and I had some NyQuil.
Drew Noble told us he was a little out of it when he heard fire alarms outside his window.
Honestly, I thought like the sun was rising. People are knocking on my door. I don't really know what's going on.
He says he's grateful that he could find a warm place to hang out.
I kind of ran out and didn't grab a jacket. EMTs gave me a blanket, and now I'm here.
Just before 9 Wednesday morning, Red Cross bused evacuees to a nearby stake center for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Just moved locations, but we're staying the course of just providing food, snacks, water, things like that.
While they figure out what's next. Now, since we've been out here for a couple hours now, the numbers have gone down significantly. We're seeing just a handful of people who are using this facility right now. We are finding out, though, that folks are able to, along with the police escort, go back into their apartments and get some of their belongings. We just heard from the fire chief that most likely will not be returning to their homes, at least for tonight. For KSL News at noon, I'm Tamara Baifanua.
All right, Tamara, thank you for that update. Talking to those evacuees, some of them just, as they said, just awoken out of sleep, someone banging on their door telling them that they had to evacuate. I just want to move out of the way real quick, just so you can understand how firefighters are still working on this. I know you get a vantage point of Chopper 5, but the water that is still raining down. Now, we heard from the Salt Lake City fire chief who said the fire is still burning in the core inside the building. Firefighters are not going inside. It is just too unstable for them. So they're attacking this from the outside, also making a plan on the ground for what's next. They have engineers gathered talking about the buildings next door. Have they been damaged in any way? And that's really the question. Let's go back to these evacuees, because Kara Bracken has been talking to them since the early morning hours. Some of them just running out of their apartments. Kara, I know you spoke to one gentleman who said he grabbed his keys, his wallet, and his passport.
Yeah, and you got to remember, this is happening around, that midnight in those wee hours of the morning. And so they are running out in the cold, grabbing what they could, making that mad dash for the door because time is ticking.
Yeah, got to do what I have to do.
In this case, get out the door fast and grab what he could.
Like passport, like my ID, my keys.
Sean Zhang is one of the dozens of residents who had to evacuate from the Sugarmont apartments.
I got some pictures here. This is what I took, I think it's, 12, around 12. Yeah, those are pretty heavy fires. A lot of sirens. A lot of pets going down the stairs. People are generally kind of worried.
It's going to take time to shake off the scare and to rebuild.
The water damage, smoke damage.
Carl Gilbert has been working in construction since the 70s on a job just a little ways down from where the fire broke out. From what he can tell, a lot, if not the majority of the rebuild on the apartment under construction that caught fire is going to have to go up from ground zero.
Probably 50 to 75% of that's going to have to be knocked down and started over. Like on the part that they're spraying right now is probably going to be gutted out, basically. Check the structure and then have to rebuild part of that. But the part that's collapsed is just tear it down to the foundation and start over.
Now, as for how much time we're talking to do that, he says that could take anywhere from 3 to 4 months to knock it down. And I want to tell you, this is the actual building that we're talking that he works in, that he's seeing that site being built over there as far as that construction site that caught on fire this morning. I will tell you, he mentioned that working on that job over there, that they were nearly done, that part of that building was 80% done as far as a construction site standpoint. So now, of course, with this fire, they're looking to go back to ground zero, or at least close to it. For now, though, reporting live in Salt Lake City, I'm Kara Bracken for KSL 5 News.
All right, Kara, thank you for that. And of course, as you said, they probably are going to have to start from the ground up once again because this fire has completely destroyed the building. Let's take a look, an exclusive look right now from Chopper 5. As you can see from the bird's eye vantage point, perhaps seeing the smoke, of course. We can all see the smoke even from the ground. But the fire that continues to burn in the core. And that's what firefighters are watching right now as we spoke with Salt Lake City Fire Chief Carl Lead, who talked about what his crews are doing. They got here minutes after that fire started, and they evacuated residents just to make sure that no one would be hurt in this because so many buildings that were nearby were getting the heat from this fire that was burning. And we did get some information from the fire chief saying that there was a minor injury, one minor injury, but so lucky that no one was hurt in this fire. Shara, back to you.
Wow, Lori Pritchard driving our coverage there live in the field this afternoon. So grateful that only one minor injury, but so many people impacted by this throughout the night. Lori, we will continue to check in with you throughout the hour. Thank you very much. Be Ready Utah has 3 key points to remember should you and your family need to evacuate in any kind of situation in a moment's notice like this. First, make a plan ahead of time, whether you'll be sheltering at home or leaving. If you're separated, think of a place to reunite with your family and practice your plan to make sure that everyone gets out of the house. Second, get a kit. You want enough supplies for each member of your family and your pets. Don't forget about that. To grab your medication, phone number, chargers, anything you need like that so you can communicate with your family and get them vital information. Which brings us to the third and final step. Be informed. Identify possible hazards where you live. Register or opt into any warning system that might help you in an emergency.